This is basically an Ecto with a new body and smaller tires. I'm curious to know just how well it does on the 6 problems, because already we know that the Ecto is the best performing of the Enduro series without a shadow of the doubt. The Sendero comes kind of close, the Gatekeeper comes kind of close, but they both have some issues. This thing in its stock form is amazing on the rocks. From our last video, we know Zuul is still very similar here. Still have the faux winch, we've got the same underbody. The biggest difference here are the tires, and that's the 4.19. So they're class 1 in Sorka or scale 1 in WRCCA rule set. They're scale 1 legal. General Grabber ATX. And these are just the General Grabber X3s, which we're familiar with. So this thing can walk all 6 problems here. From previous tire tests we've done, we know that tire diameter trumps tire compound and tread in many cases. Can this fella do all 6 as well with the smaller tires? That's actually quite a handicap, but the rest of the vehicle is beautifully poised, it's light, it's ready to go. Let's hit the rocks and see. This is Zuul's very first time driving. As you can tell from the clean tires, we're running on a 3S battery, as we do for all our tests. Now, straight axles here and little 4.19 inch tires means breakover is going to be a challenge for this car. I haven't touched the gearing. This is the stock the stock 7% gearing it comes with. It also includes a now, while this thing comes with 11.83% overdrive gearing as a optional part, comes in the box, I've kept it with the stock 7%. It's roughly 7. But as our tyre testing has borne out over the time, I mean, look, this is the most capable platform in the Enduro range, and we're struggling to get up problem 1. In my experience, this really bears out. You'll notice it's also actually quite a stretched wheelbase comparative to the tyre size. Quite reasonable for a real life car. So for scale, yeah. This isn't really a scale car though. It's a bit of a creative machine. The tiny wheels suit the car better. But again, Ecto just walks up this. Zuul is having all sorts of trouble. We just about had the right line there, but it had to work for it. And we're still in trouble here. I think these tyres are actually alright. You see, they've got some squish to them. But this should drive home for you if you had any doubts. Just how much difference tyre size makes. Again, Ecto is the best performing in the Enduro series. And look, one nice thing that works for this car is the standard steering and ESC that comes with the Enduro range, especially the servo. It's just not going to be taxed with these little tyres. So you buy a Zuul, you're not going to have to upgrade him. Same with the Night Walker and the Night Runner. And the Trail Walker before them. Smaller wheels, easier time for the servo. Come on. Now if you're wondering, could it just be my lousy driving? Well, look, it could be, but I was just 6 points off national champion for this class of car earlier this year. Just 6 points, and that was a question of scale. I drove nearly all 5 courses perfectly, nearly perfectly. You can see that on my ECCF roundup video from late March on the channel here. It's the one with the thumbnail that says 3 rigs, 1 survived. Now the servo can't overcome this, so a better servo will squish the tyre into the rock here. Problem 1 is out, interestingly. Into problem 2. Honestly, this feels very similar to driving the SCX-10 Gladiator. With its wheelbase being what it is, and smaller, even if you have bigger wheels and portals, I mean, a longer wheelbase is challenging. We have very little room for error on problem 2. Just like the entry to problem 1, this tests breakover. A lot of my course tests breakover, among other things, but it's this entry here that really pushes it. What you're seeing is also This is the slowest throttle speed I've got here. There, that's the slowest speed on 3S. You might actually have a better time running this on 2S. It's quite drivable, but yeah. I don't know that we're going to get problem 2 either. There. What I need it to do is this. So this is where brass could help as well. Just a little bit of extra mush when I had the line correct. It's a bit harder with one hand, sorry. When it was there, oh, I can feel the skidders on it. I can't quite emulate having brass, but I'm just pressing the tiniest little extra, like the tiniest bit. I didn't exert much pressure at all then, like less than 50 grams, and look, it grabbed. So clearly adding weight to this car is going to make a difference, but in stock form it can't do problem 2. Coming straight into problem 3, I'm just going to hit it from an angle because going straight on is just not going to happen. Now if you're wondering, this isn't a class 1, or this for WRCCA rules, even though it's got tiny tyres, this isn't scale 1 legal because it has overdrive out of the box, and the front bumper needs to be the width at the start of the hood here, underneath the windscreen, underneath the A-pillars. That's how wide this front bumper needs to be, and the tyres need to be at least under the body, I think 50%, or at least somewhat under the body, and it's clearly not in at either end here. So you don't have a class 1 rig here, but you do have class 1 legal tyres. I don't know about Sorka class 1 rules. I haven't read them for quite some years, but that's only because our clubs don't drive that here. It's just quite crazy. You can see the Ecto is just sitting here watching without any emotion on its face. In its stock loadout, it can do all 6 problems and make it look easy. Zuul here is the same car. It's the same car. Different body, different wheels and tyres. If we put these wheels on the Ecto, you get the exact same result. It goes from being the hero to really unable to do much of anything. And I'm giving this a proper go. Like I'm trying. It's not a foregone conclusion that problem 4 is out. It just nearly is. The real problem is being this rock here, and secondly this rock, because it has to brake over both of these. But right now the diff is getting caught up on part of the entrance here to problem 4. This has the same feeling as driving just a standard scale vehicle. I didn't even try the night, oh no I did, I tried the night runner on these courses early on and it performed pretty similarly, honestly. IFS didn't make all that much difference. If we were to stick bigger tyres on and maybe a little bit of weight, even just weighted wheels, which isn't, it's the most affordable, but it's not the most optimal. But even just bigger tyres and weighted wheels, and I think you'd find that this and the more scale looking Night Runner and Night Walker with their IFS and live front axles respectively, you'd find they all do better. We just don't have the tyre diameter. I also think these foams feel too hard for the weight of this car, which really isn't very much at all. For crawling, I'd like to see them squished some more. For trailer driving, yeah, not so much. But remember, we've got locked front and rear here. We've got overdrive to the front. So while this actually would make a reasonable trailing rig, in fact that's really what it's going to be good for, it's still definitely a rock crawler. Even the Night Runner and Night Walker are actually rock crawlers. Locked axles, I mean you don't have a full-time locked axle if you just got a trail rig, to my mind. That's where the TRX4 is a jack of all trades. But yeah, the overdrive and the locked axles, that says rock crawler to me. And look, the Enduro range can crawl really well. It's just we're being hampered by these little tyres. They're not actually bad tyres either. They're just a little hard for the weight of this car, and they're just not big enough. However, this is problem 5. Before you write this car off completely, We're driving a very technical track that I have designed to be challenging for 1/10 scale cars. This is not supposed to be easy. Also keep in mind that we never need a car to finish any of the problems or the obstacles. In fact, if you don't like that I call them problems, you can consider that problem 7. This is just to give us a relative reference to other crawlers out of the box, and then also once we mod a truck we can come back and see how differently it goes. And you'll see some of my videos on the channel here show the car in stock form in a little picture-in-picture while the main screen shows the modded version. And that way we can actually measure what our upgrades are doing. It takes a bit of effort to do that, but it's how you know that it's not just emotion driving your changes. Now we're in a terrible position. It may be recoverable if we had the squish. The front right tyre, really, I wanted it to squish some more, although I think we still may have the traction we need here. So the vehicle being lightweight here is what saved us. A heavy vehicle would have definitely fallen off. But hey, we got one out. That's problem 5. Now we'll finish this test with problem 6. This car is not going to do problem 6. It's not going to be able to get over the top. It's got to get up all 4 wheels onto that flat rock up the top to the right here. Getting to the base of that rock can be challenging. This is quite a long vehicle. But again, these short wheels really are what make things challenging. We could come back with bigger tyres and see. Although if you're wondering about that, look at the Ecto in stock form. It's otherwise identical. Body and tyres are the only difference in this car. I have actually noted some servo fade, but we are pushing it. I still think you'd get away with not really upgrading this servo if you stuck with it in stock form, because these tyres are small. Hey. Look, we knew we weren't going to get 6 out. Let's just plant it. Alright, so it can't do 6, but I've just planted it in about the ideal position to finish the problem. Let's see if it was ever going to be possible. We need to be over to the left as much as we can, and then mush that front tyre around, but it can't quite reach it on the ground. And now when I reverse, I'd like more... Yeah, I'd like more significant overdrive. 7% is much better than nothing, but it's not enough. The nearly 12% you get in the packet would have been helpful, because I just wanted the front to rush around before the rear backed off that little supporting rock on the back left. But I don't think Zuul is getting anywhere today. So if you were wondering before, now you know. Smaller tyres are really the kryptonite to an otherwise beautifully sorted rig. Ecto can walk all 6 problems. Poor old Zuul could only do problem 5, and that's it. If we change these tyres out to the standard to the standard general grabbers that come with most of the element range, I think you'd see a vastly different result. Even if we stuck the pin seekers on from the Enduro SE, they're actually a much softer tyre, softer foams, they'd squish more readily. It's all the rubber on this, even though they're lovely and siped and stuff, they don't bend enough for this weight of rig. Throw some brass under the front, nothing under the rear, just the front, and you'll find that the car is going to perform better. Brass for this is getting easier to find, but look, even if you can't get them, just get some weighted wheels. It'd be better if it was just the front, but I know you want to get all 4, so we can test this car with better tyres to see if I'm making things up or if I know what I'm talking about. But if we come back with bigger tyres, you watch and see, it'll be just like the Ecto, it'll walk all 6 problems. I found this in my tyre testing. We've done many hours of tyre testing now, and there's actually a lot more coming. Diameter is king. More than foams, more than tread, more than compound. The size of the tyre makes all the difference. And that's also why portals are so popular, because that extra clearance really makes a difference. This div's been absolutely bashed up. The center skid has a bit of scratching on it, but really it's the front links and the front diff that had taken a pounding. It just can't clear, and then it just can't break over. The back of it also is quite ground up. So there you go. Thanks for watching, guys. Throw me a like. I'll catch you again on RC-TNT soon. We've got a lot coming, and I can't wait to share it with you. Cheers.